Oh man, that's what I would just go back. I've spent so much time playing video games in my life, and while I had a good time, I had fun, I could have just made so much more progress. Seriously, I have maxed out every class in WoW in every single expansion except for the most recent one where I decided to really get it together. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time in just that game, and I don't play it just WoW, or I didn't play it just WoW. League of Legends and Dota 2, the game just resets and you try to do better next time.
People live with this strange assumption that moderation is the mother of all virtues, when the reality is moderation becomes the excuse for them never cultivating, never developing any virtues at all. This guy sincerely regrets the hundreds of hours he wasted playing video games, but he refuses to come to the obvious, inexorable conclusion that he should not play video games at all. And he refuses to recommend to his audience that they quit playing video games entirely. Instead, what he seems to endorse is moderation. It's not clear to me what that really means. If you think that cocaine is something bad and unhealthy and evil and wrong, you're not going to tell people to be moderate users of cocaine. Even if we set aside the issue of illegality, criminality, danger, even if we set aside the health risks, the negative effect on your heart, on various internal organs, even if we set aside the issue of brain damage, if you just look at cocaine and say, hey, you know what? If you get into using this cocaine stuff, it's going to lead you into a life that's kind of reckless, heedless, dangerous to yourself and others. This is really going to have a kind of negative impact on your character development, on your education, on your career. In that simple sense, it's bad and evil and wrong. Therefore, don't become a moderate drug user. Absolutely refuse, absolutely quit cocaine. Today, now, and for the rest of your life. That's the conclusion to come to on cocaine. But you have this guy sitting here, and it's like he can't shake off this habit of mind. You know, oh, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is no baby in that bathwater. There's no reason to be moderate here. There's no benefit that's going to excuse the compromises you're making. And it's interesting. Listen to this next little segment. Listen to what he has to say. He describes the effect of playing video games for these hundreds of hours as being like a lion tamer forcing the lion to go through the hoop, as being like, training a dog. But in the end, the dog in question is not even learning anything as remotely useful as how to jump through a hoop to please its master.
If I could go back in time and tell myself one thing, it'd probably be to stop spending so much time on video games. Stop leveling up in a video game that's going to come out with a sequel, and then you're going to lose all your progress and you're going to have to do it again anyways. You do something so that you can get something so you can do that thing again, and it's just a giant circle. Like in Diablo 3, you get better gear so that you can kill stuff faster, so that you can get better gear to kill stuff faster. It's just a giant loop. That's what most RPG games are. A lot of people get lost in that. And it's progress that you can't hold on to, and you're living inside the realm of someone else's rules and constructs. And that, I would go back in time and be like, make progress in life where it matters, Josh. Things that you can hold on to, things that you can move forward with, instead of these things that get reset with a patch at some other person's discretion. The next thing I would go back in time and tell myself would be, is this what you want, Josh? Everyone else says this is what you're supposed to do, be happy. You're supposed to go to college, you're supposed to get a degree that's in something safe and good that pays a lot and just will take care of you. And then you'll get a job and you'll work that job and you'll have a nice life. And what does that mean, nice life? Does that mean my mortgage is paid every month but I'm miserable? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I didn't ever ask myself that question. I just kept doing what I was supposed to do. I kept going where I was supposed to go, and I kept trying to make myself happy, and it didn't work. It didn't work.
We're using here short clips of a much longer video. To describe the video as a whole, he discusses his experience playing video games as meaningless, dissatisfactory repetition that he found enjoyable or challenging or fun, but that he ultimately decided was vacuous, empty, self-defeating, didn't make it happy. He describes his experience with university in much the same way. Meaningless, frustrating, repetitious, didn't make him happy. And he says many times that he looks back on it and he wonders why he never asked himself the profound questions. Why he never asked himself, hey, what was he really trying to do here? What was he really trying to accomplish? He describes his experience in the workplace. It sounds like he had a conventional job in something like engineering or electrical engineering. He got a degree in engineering and got a job of that kind for just about 2 years. He describes it in exactly the same way. Profoundly dissatisfactory, repetitious, dehumanizing, what have you. But these things are not parallel. In reality, the gratification he had from playing video games, the hundreds of hours he was investing in playing video games, right? The sense of reward or entertainment he was getting from that, it was sustaining the other elements of his life that otherwise might have been unsustainable. Like when I talk to people about marijuana use, they often claim that the effects of marijuana are relatively minor, compared to heroin or cocaine, therefore shouldn't be taken so seriously. One of the most insidious things about marijuana is precisely that it can make unbearable things in your life seem bearable, right? It can prevent you from challenging yourself, from challenging others, from asking the questions, what am I doing here? What am I doing with my life? Why am I making these compromises? So, looking at this video as a whole, there's a really interesting three-way parallel here. His total dissatisfaction with video games, his total dissatisfaction with the university experience, his total dissatisfaction with the world of employment. That for him was, at least monetarily, very satisfactory. He very rapidly bought 2 different vehicles and a house. He mentions that the house was really cheap. It's definitely possible the house cost less than one of the vehicles. In the United States of America, that's quite possible. You can get a cheap house. But nevertheless, in some obvious ways, his experience with university and employment delivered in exactly the ways that were promised. For many of us, that's not the case. But he saw in this, ultimately, the same kind of fruitless game as he just described it here so strangely. He feels that he's struggling to jump through these hoops, being held up by the lion tamer or being held up by the dog trainer. He feels like he's trying to satisfy these goals in a reality of someone else's creation.
I guess I have some kind of new goals for myself, new things that I want to do. I'd like to make $1 million by the time I'm 30. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet.
So in the end, we have a case study here of a guy who was disillusioned with video games, but his disillusionment was narrowly with video games only, right? He was disillusioned in the sense that he thought playing video games would make him happy, and he now realizes that isn't the path to true happiness. He thought studying hard and, achieving something at university would make him happy, and he was disillusioned, and he thought came to the conclusion that was not the path to true happiness. All right. He had whatever struggles in the workplace. He mentioned that he read various kind of books about the philosophy of management and being an employee, changed his view on these things. He became disillusioned with the corporate rat race, with whatever professional job he had, with whatever career he had in engineering. He decided that's not the true path to happiness. He never got disillusioned with happiness itself, right? It's like someone who's trying to get high. He's trying to get high by huffing glue, trying to get high by drinking vodka, trying to get high with marijuana, cocaine, LSD, and someone who gets disillusioned with various methods of getting high, but they never get disillusioned with the high itself. He's yet to sit down and realize It's the pursuit of happiness itself that's tragically flawed. I hope you don't ever earn that $1 million you say you're going to earn by age 30. And by the way, he was already 29 years old when he made this video. So he'd have less than 1 year to make $1 million. I hope you don't make any terrible, regrettable ethical compromises to try to make $1 million in 1 year, because it's not easy to do if you're keeping everything above board. But if you do, you're up for the same kind of disillusionment. You can do a whole lot of things with $1 million, but it can't ever make you happy.